Hey everyone, Steve from Make Your Own Fun here. Now, this is going to be a video where I'm just going to test out using a Super Nintendo controller, like you see here, on the Sega Dreamcast, as you can see in the bottom corner of my screen. And to do that, I'm going to be using a couple of adapters. So the first is a RAFnet Super Nintendo to PlayStation adapter. I was about to say SNES. This takes a Super Nintendo controller, outputs it to PlayStation. It's pretty simple, but the second part is going to have to be PlayStation to Dreamcast. And I've actually got 4 adapters that I'm going to test today and see how they work with varying degrees of success. First up is the Dream Connection 4-in-1 by Skills X or something like that. I've got this DC Smart Joy. I don't know who makes this. It says CCL. If you can see that. Maybe not. And then I've got this PS and PC 2-in-1 converter, so it also takes, I think, a PS2 keyboard, like PS/2. That goes to Dreamcast, and it's also got PlayStation here. And finally, the Innovation Saturn/Dreamcast/PS2 keyboard. So that's this one. Stop focusing on my face. I put it here. There we are. PlayStation, PS2, Sega Saturn, but we're not using this for today. So let's just get into it. Okay, so I've switched this camera angle up to where you can see this giant mess on my table, but I think it's the easiest way to show you guys. Got the Dreamcast here. It's running, but I'm actually going to turn it off for a second while I plug everything in. I've got this actual Super Nintendo joystick, which I'm also going to try. I think I'll be plugging in 2 at a time, I guess. That makes it a bit easier. So yeah, I don't want to plug anything because I haven't done any mods to this Dreamcast. I haven't replaced any of like the controller board fuses or whatever. So there could be some sort of issue if I plug in a bunch of stuff while it's on. I think it wasn't too advanced for its time in that regard. So let me just turn it off. If you still see the Dreamcast on the screen, it's because just the capture card is frozen, but don't worry, I'll fix that. Anyways, I'll plug in this Skills Dream Connection first. That will just go there, and then take the RAFnet SNES to PlayStation adapter that goes in here. Then I will plug in my, sorry for all the noise, Super Nintendo plug. You can see that. That'll go here. And then player 2. Let's go with the Innovation adapter, why not? Into the Dreamcast. Oh, there's so much stuff in the way. And then I'll take the second RAFnet adapter. That goes in here. And again, Super Nintendo into the RAFnet. Now, I've only tested one of these setups before, and that was this Dream Connection one. And actually didn't work. It worked well, but sometimes it just wouldn't work at all, and I'd have to restart and kind of hope that, I guess, an electrical connection is made. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see how it goes now. Turning on the Dreamcast, I've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 loaded. Alright, now, one thing to see is that on the Innovation, which is plugged into controller port 2, I don't know if you can tell, but the LEDs are on, so it's getting power to the adapter, that's the part of the this, I guess, the chain that should work. And same with the Dream Connection, that's also working. Now, this is the moment of truth, I guess. Let's see whether or not this controller is doing anything on the set time screen. There we are. This is the one plugged into the Dream Connection, so I've already tested this and it works fine. What about controller 2, which is this joystick, Super Advantage, plugged into the Innovation adapter? Okay, that's not working right now. I'm not sure if it's just because I've already done something with player 1. I guess we'll find out. That's not doing anything. Am I plugging into the right adapter? Am I in the right mode? It's got a little, what is it? Controller, and I think that's a steering wheel, maybe, switch. I'm on the controller switch, so let's just load up a game and see if it works. Okay, so Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Again, nothing on player 1, but player 2 I will do 50 Hz because my capture card kind of freaks out if it doesn't kind of get the right signal. I am in Australia, so that's a PAL territory. Not sure if that has anything to do with it. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Okay, there we can see the problem. It looks like the Dreamcast isn't detecting a controller in the second port at all. Now, who knows why that is? Let's try and take this out. Plug it in. It's weird because I'm getting power to this adapter. I don't really want to be doing this, but let's try it. As in plugging it out, in and out while the game is on, or the console is on. Again, nothing. That's weird. Let's try and swap it from controller port 1. I don't know if I'll do it. Screw it. Okay. It looks like this combo doesn't work with this innovation adapter.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take.
Alright, I just want to show you guys that the Super Advantage does work, whether or not the innovation adapter works. Now, it might be hard to tell with the lighting, but yeah, I'm basically going off the fact that if this LED is on, then, you know, we may be in business. Okay, there we are, look. B, I guess. Now, is this a novelty? Of course, and there are better controllers and better, you know, arcade sticks to be using. Oh my god, I didn't even press the right button. But, proof of concept, Super Advantage works. Why am I even choosing? It doesn't matter at all. So, if you know anything about this controller, you'll know that it's not a micro switch controller, or everything works kind of on like membranes, which is kind of the way like a D-pad or probably like the original Dreamcast controller would work. Essentially, this stick doesn't make any clicks when you move it, and these buttons also just kind of press the carbon pads and make contact under it. So, I think this was kind of the best you had at the time for the SNES. Or the Super Nintendo, but there we are. Alright, that works. I'm going to try and hot swap it. It's probably going to not work, but we'll see. I'm going to hot swap it from the SNES end. So there we are. That is no longer connected. And I'll use the original Super Nintendo controller. There we are. Hey, it works. Hot swapping it does work, so here. Anyways, Super Nintendo controller, all the buttons work. Trying to do something. L works, and R should call the other partner. And that's kind of the good thing with the Dreamcast and the Super Nintendo, is that they have the same amount of buttons. D-pad, start. Dreamcast doesn't have a select button. And there's no analog stick here, so not off the top of my head, I don't know the games that need a separate analog stick. I'm sure there are a few. But you just won't have that if you use this. So, you know what you're getting yourself into. Now, I thought instead of turning the Dreamcast off, like, I think with this, I'm going to say it doesn't really work with the RAFnet adapter attached to it. I might try it again later on and report back, but let's just assume it doesn't. Next adapter is this, unbranded, like, I don't know, I bought it like this. So, yeah, again, obviously, PlayStation to Dreamcast. I'm going to put that into controller port 2, and going against conventional wisdom, I wouldn't be doing this normally, because I haven't replaced the controller port fuses. Okay, I have to set up another RAFnet to SNES adapter. SNES to PlayStation, I mean. If there are any weird cuts in this video, that's just me cutting out wasted time. Alright. Hey! 2 controllers now. So I guess I'm just going to fight myself, because I'm just testing this out. So choose my second team, who will also maybe just pick Spider-Man. Okay, so using this kind of... Unfortunately, it's not going to help anyone buy it, because, I mean, if you can find this... God, it's too bright. It's a PlayStation 2 Dreamcast converter. There are a few out there, so If that's just a different one, maybe you can find it on eBay or something like that. Alright, so player 2 is using Spider-Man right now with the Super Advantage Super Nintendo controller. Let's just test all the buttons. Partner 1 is L, partner 2, R, Y, X, B, A. I'm reading off the Super Nintendo notation, so I'm not going to translate it to Dreamcast. You know, you get the idea. Now, let's just test something out. Whoop. Okay. So what I did there was this slow motion button. You know how all these like old controllers had like a turbo mode and a slow motion mode. Slow motion and just presses start over and over again. So like, especially if the screen doesn't change and just pauses the game, you could play it in slow motion, quote unquote. Anyways, let's try turbo switches now. These are all turbo switches. So if I go to, whoops, okay. These switches have 3 modes. The first one's off, turbo, and auto. So auto would just press the button constantly. Turbo would be firing the button continuously depending on this switch. This this like slider up here. So those all work too, the turbo functions. I don't think they wouldn't work because as long as the controller signals are working, then everything should work and pass through to the Dreamcast. So yes. Good to know that this second adapter works. Now we've got, third adapter I mean, one more thing to try, and that's this DC Smart Joy 2. Plugging this, oof, okay. I thought I screwed everything up, and I probably did, but not to an immediate degree. Alright, this is a giant, square, chunky man, and it's got a little plug, and I've actually never used this before, at all. So using it with a double translated controller or double converted probably isn't the best idea, but we'll see. Hey, okay, and there we are. Okay, look, so this SNES joystick is working using this adapter, playing some Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Dreamcast, and cable still kicking butt. Using the OG pad over here. So that's all well and good. Now, it seems like this innovation is the only one that didn't work. I'm going to give it one more try. Why not? You know, if the order of things matters, the order of operations, there's no easy way to tell. Oh, this is really tight. Oh, not that tight. Cool. Okay. One last go. Hopefully it works, but if not, then 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Oh god. Jeez. Hey! It does work now! Okay, awesome. After a little kerfuffle earlier, this innovation controller does work. I can use both controllers. So the Super Advantage right now is moving this blue cursor, and the normal controller is using the other cursor, the purple one. You get the idea. Alright, that was me testing out 4 different PlayStation to Dreamcast converters, along with the RAFnet Super Nintendo to PlayStation converter. Now, why you'd want to do this? I don't know. Maybe you like the look of, or you like the feel of this controller and you just want a bit of nostalgia sake. It's a nice fighting game controller because all the buttons that you need, especially 6 button games, they're all just right here and it's nice and small. If you have the Sega Saturn pad or something like that, if you're trying to use another controller for the Dreamcast, you don't like playing fighting games on the OG controller, which I understand, this is probably a good option. I think it's a very neat novelty factor. It just didn't seem to work sometimes, but we'll see. I don't think there are many companies making PlayStation to Dreamcast adapters, if there are any still at the moment. So you're basically just hunting around for old stock stuff people don't want anymore. But, you know, if you've seen a lot of the other videos on my channel, you can probably imagine that you can MacGyver away using the new Brook adapters, I'm sure. I just wanted to test out all these different kinds of things and see if they had any problems. Ideally, they'd be all working on the same kind of protocol and controller like microcontroller stuff and signals and everything. So I don't see why they wouldn't, but it's good to know and good to put it in action. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That'll just about do it for this video. We have now seen how to make your Super Nintendo controllers work on your Sega Dreamcast through the use of not just a PlayStation to Dreamcast adapter, but also the very cool RAFnet SNES to PlayStation adapter. If you're wondering about like input lag or anything, to me it seemed perfectly fine. This is not the venue to test that because I'm playing through a capture card. It's being double converted. You know, there are so many things that could be adding frames of lag to the whole experience. But if it's for a novelty and you just want to kind of play single player games that might not, a fighting game isn't the best thing to add input lag to, but single player games, stuff like that, and you love your Super Nintendo controller, then why not go for it? As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.